Alright, say it with me. Hachama and Coco did nothing wrong. Hachama to Coco wa waruku nai. Hey, SHIT! What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite animes, and today I'm going to do a review on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Season 4, or in the manga, Part 5, Vento Aureo, or Golden Wind, or in Japanese, JoJo no Kimyo na Boken Daigonbu Ogon no Kaza. Yes. Since I started watching JoJo earlier this year, I have been really hooked. To briefly sum up, in this anime there are multiple parts. Now the anime is up to part 5 and the manga is up to part 8. In each part, the main character is a JoJo and is also from the same family tree. Parts 1 and 2 involve with a breathing magic thing called Hamon, or ripples, and ever since part 3 we have stands, which are entities created by mental energy, and only stand users can see stands, and stand users are drawn to one another, and only stands can hurt stands. And there are a huge variety of stands. Stands can be a punchy humanoid, a giant boat, the sun, some sort of goo, the void, a transmission tower, hair, etc., etc., etc. And they can do all sorts of things. Some of them can heal, some of them can cook, some of them can stop time or blow things up. It's all very creative and fun. Part 1, Phantom Blood, is the shortest and the least interesting in comparison with other parts, but it's still entertaining and fairly paced. Part 2, Battle Tendency, is even more entertaining as the main character, Joseph Joestar, is still my favorite JoJo. Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, is a super long, around-the-world action adventure with a villain of the week formula, which is a little formulaic, but it's still not bad. Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, is more of a slice-of-life, somewhat comedic murder mystery. Right, comedic murder mystery, and it's my favorite part so far because it's so colorful and fun and vibrant and energetic and exciting. It's really awesome. Now we have part 5, which entirely takes place in Italy because Araki, the creator of JoJo, Araki Hirohiko, loves Italy, and he already expressed his love for Italian food and culture in previous parts. And in part 5, he's going all in. Let's talk about the OP first. Goddamn, is it great. Coda made this OP, the same band who made Bloody Stream for part 2, and even though this song, Fighting Gold, isn't as good as Bloody Stream in my opinion, I still love it a lot. It's catchy, intense, dramatic, it brings a whole different vibe from the previous parts, and it has a very strong James Bond vibe to it. The animation is not that bad, but I won't say it's as creative as some of the previous OPs, but I still love the small details and the ever-changing color scheme, and funny enough, the ED is Jodechi's Freakin' You, which is Araki's decision, by the way. And it's very relaxing and very sexual R&B music, and it's alright. The ED animation is also just alright, just a bunch of characters in display. I love the part 4 ED. That one's still my favorite. Okay, Savage Garden with the Morio, that's my favorite. But this one's still not bad. Yeah, the artwork on this anime is greatly different from the arts of parts 1 to 3 and part 4. This time the eyes are so much bigger and the linings on the face have returned, and the lines are so much thicker and blacker, and it gives the whole anime a very stylish and eccentric look. Anyways, episode 1 is Gold Experience. Gorudo Experience! And Kujo Jotaro told Koichi to go to Naples, Italy, Neapolis, Italy, to look for Dio's son. And if you don't know this, Dio is the main villain of part 1 and part 3, whose name is Giorno Giovanna. And of course, Giorno has a stand, and it's Gold Experience. The stands in part 5 are so much more complex than earlier stands. Essentially, Giorno's stand, Gold Experience, can turn inanimate objects into living things. Whoever damages these living things, the person will inflict damage upon themselves. If gold experience touches a living thing, the consciousness living thing will lose control. The consciousness of the living thing will lose control. Koichi stand is of course echoes from the Pink Floyd song, and it can either create sounds, turn sound effects into real actions, or add weight into something. Anyways, Koichi encountered Giorno, who was a 15-year-old scammer, and Giorno scammed Koichi thinking that he's just an ordinary tourist, took his stuff and escaped. And then a gangster by the name of Leaky-Eyed Luca saw Giorno scamming on his turf and tried to kill him, but Giorno saved himself with his stand. That's when Luca's other gangster friend, Bruno Bucciarati, looked for Giorno. Bruno Bucciarati looked for Giorno. There's also an opening scene for the episode which isn't in the manga, and I thought it's a very sweet and heartwarming addition. Just goes to show that even though Giorno is a cheeky scammer, he's also a very kind person. On episode 2, Bucciarati's Coming, we see the flashbacks of Giorno. He had a rough childhood and he wanted to be a gangster, in fact a gang star. And we also have the fight with Bruno, which is pretty entertaining, even though the stand abilities are really complex and it's hard to follow what's exactly going on sometimes. Bruno's stand is sticky fingers, and it's so fun to yell these two words. I don't know why, but I love just shouting sticky fingers. And basically he can create zippers and pass through them, and it's really fun. It's used very creatively. He zipped Giorno's face and slipped something into his mouth. He zipped the wall and escaped. He zipped a guy and entered the guy's body in order to hide. It's pretty insane. Episode 3, Meet the Gangster Behind the Wall, is where Giorno made friends with Bruno, and Bruno told Bruno he wanted to join the gang Passione. So he had to do an interview with the gang boss Polpo, who's this shape-shifting fat giant living in a prison. Polpo gave Giorno a task. If Giorno fails, he can't join the gang. And the task was to make sure the flame of a lighter doesn't go out for 24 hours. And that episode was surprisingly fun and suspenseful. Also, Giorno joined the gang, not really because he wanted to be a part of this, but because he wanted to overthrow the boss, because the boss is handing out drugs, dealing drugs, running a network of drug trafficking, and he hates that. So yeah. And Bruno also knows Giorno's plan to overthrow the boss, but Giorno and Bruno are the only two people who knows Giorno's plan at that point anyways. Episode 4, Joining the Gang, is where we have the fight between Giorno and Polpo stand Black Sabbath. Ooh. Black Sabbath is a long-range automatic stand like sheer heart attack. If you hurt the stand, the user won't get hurt, but it will keep doing its thing until its task is complete. And this fight is actually really entertaining and fun, just like Hanged Man from part 3. Instead of jumping from reflection to reflection, this one jumps from shadow to shadow and just tries to kill you with an arrow. And it's a really fun fight. The banana handgun scene is brilliant, it looks so good, and it's so smart. We have episode 5, Find Polpo's Treasure. They haven't found it yet. They're on their way to find it in Capri, which is an island. First off, we have the Meet the Gang scene where Giorno meets Abbacchio, Leone Abbacchio, Panacotta Fugo. His name is Panacotta. Really cool. And Narancia, Ghirga, and Guido Mista. And they were all pretty playful and full of character. Mista is superstitious of the number 4. Narancia is a student and a very playful student as well. And Fugo is actually older than Narancia, even though in the anime it seems like Narancia is the youngest one. Abbacchio is an asshole and tried to make Giorno drinks his own piss. Tried to make Giorno drinks his piss, not Giorno's own piss. That scene is insane. It feels like one of those scenes where someone tells a story like, if you want to join a gang, you gotta drink piss. Over to episode 6, Abbacchio's Counterattack, or Abbacchio Strikes Back. And it's another really freaking entertaining episode. The team was on a yacht on their way to the island, and people started to go missing one by one. And the remaining people had to first investigate what's going on and then find the culprit and then kill him, the stand user. And there we have another stand, which is Soft Machine. Essentially, it can turn people and things into balloons and deflate it. And the stand user, Zucchero, actually used it, being very creatively to hide himself. Also, the Moody blue sound effects with the telephone ringing are so cool. It's a Bacchio stand, by the way, which sort of reenacts everything a person does in the past. Again, a really complex stand, but really cool as well. Over to episodes 7 and 8, Sex Pistols appear. Yes, we finally see Guido Mista's stand, Sex Pistols. Never mind the Bullocks, Sex Pistols. With more 70s hard rock and punk bands, this part is certainly going to be more violent. In fact, this part is the most violent part I've seen. It almost glorifies it in a very quirky way when Mista used the hook to force someone to open his eyes and then burn his eyes with a pair of glasses looking straight at the sun. Also, the torture dance. Holy shit, what a great scene. In the manga, it's only like 3 to 4 panels, but they made a 50-second long music video in the anime, and it's freaking awesome. The way JoJo portrays gangsters is just off the rails, and it's really, really, really fun. Anyways, they landed on Capri and immediately encountered another enemy. That's Sale, and his stand is Kraftwerk. Yes, the German electronic quartet Kraftwerk. And we have a two-parted fight between Mista and Sale on top of a truck, and it's fairly entertaining. Basically, Sex Pistols is 6 little conscious things which can direct bullets from Mista's revolver, and Kraftwerk can fix things in mid-air. And he can also build potential energy onto those things. Once it's released, it blasts off, because when it's fixed, it's fixed. It can't move. But if you tap it, you're giving it kinetic energy. But it's not kinetic energy anymore. It's potential energy. So once it's not fixed anymore, it just blasts off. So yeah, pretty entertaining fight. We have episode 9, First Orders from the Boss, and it's more of a transitional episode. We have a really cool introduction scene for Trish Una, who is the boss's daughter. Apparently the boss wanted Bucciarati to protect his daughter, and the boss is of course the biggest, most powerful man in the entire gang. And we also have Narancia encountering an enemy at the end, Formaggio, with the stand Little Feet, which can shrink things. And Narancia's stand is Aerosmith. Sing with me, sing for the year, sing for the laughter, sing for the tear. And of course, it's a tiny airplane, and it can shoot and drop atomic bombs. It's pretty crazy, and I love it. I love it a lot. And then we got episodes 10 to 11, which are Hitman Team and Narancia's Aerosmith, respectively. And this battle is my favorite battle of the entire part so far. It's certainly the longest battle so far because it covers over 2 episodes. It's like a little more than 2 episodes long. And it has a lot of ups and downs. At first we have Narancia trying to make a phone call, but failed. And then he tracked Formaggio down with his CO2 detector. Formaggio shrunk and tried to use rats to escape, and then almost trapped Narancia in a glass bottle with a venomous spider. Then Narancia caused a lot of fire and explosions. It's pretty damn entertaining. The Narancia's flashbacks are also kind of touching for some reason. I also like the flashbacks about La Squadra, which is the team of hitmen who decided to betray the boss. It's La Squadra, but officially it's called Squadra de Esecuzione or something. And there are 7 members in this team: Formaggio, Illuso, Ghiaccio, Risotto is the leader of the team. There's the Sorbet and Gelato, which is actually based off of the 2 members of Savage Garden. It's pretty crazy. And yeah, this team of hitmen decided to betray the boss. And this part is super violent, between the shrunk car growing back in normal size, bursting out of a man's belly, to one of the team members chopped up into pieces while being alive and carefully preserved and laid out in glass frames. It just shows how scary the boss is. Now that they're under attack from La Squadra, the boss gave his second order to Bruno Bucciarati's team, and that is to retrieve the helicopter key Not really helicopter key. It was assumed to be a helicopter key. But anyways, it was to retrieve a key in one of the ruins in Pompeii. So Fugo, Bacchio, and Giorno are assigned to retrieve the key. Meanwhile, Bruno, Narancia, and Mista stay behind to protect Trish. There, they encounter a man in the mirror by the user Illuso. I first thought it's just Hanged Man 2.0, but actually the stand can pull you into a mirror world where you can't summon your own stand, so yeah, it's pretty powerful. And we have Fugo stuck in the mirror world, and his stand is the Jimi Hendrix song Purple Haze. Purple haze all in my brain. And purple haze basically spreads virus which can instantly kill everything in a 5-meter radius. So we just saw a bomb-dropping fighter jet versus a shrinking man. Now we have a virus spreader versus a mirror world controller. Brilliant. Episode 13, Man in the Mirror and Purple Haze, is okay. It's just okay. Even though with a stand like this, you'd think the battle would be very entertaining, but maybe I was just tired at the time when I was watching this episode, but it wasn't really that entertaining for me. The stand abilities of Man in the Mirror is actually very confusing. If you can drag and pull anything to and from the mirror world, then you can pull in both the stand user and the stand, right? Or is there a rule where you can only bring in one entity? I don't know if that's a rule, and it's not like it's being addressed earlier or anything. Also, I don't know how spawning an animal in the midst of a virus spread automatically makes it immune to the virus. Thus, its blood contains antibodies of that virus. Is the snake's blood and Giorno's blood even compatible? Even if Giorno took those antibodies, does that mean Giorno is forever immune to the purple haze virus? Or at least for a long time? I hope so. However, things become so much more interesting on episode 14, Express Train to Firenze. Yes! Finally, a place I've been to! Firenze! Yes! Anyways, I'm glad we can take a thorough tour of one of the most cultural countries in Europe, that is Italia, through Vento Aureo. Basically, Bruno was ordered to go to a specific train platform to find a turtle and then hop onto the train. And the turtle has a stand. Its shell has a key-shaped hole. Once you place the key onto its shell, you and others can hide inside the turtle, which is this president lounge of sorts, and the stand is called Mr. President, by the way, and that's really cool. But what's also suspenseful is Pesci and Prosciutto with their stands Beach Boy and the Grateful Dead. Yes, Beach Boy. I'm picking up good vibrations. The former is a fishing rod and can turn any surface into a pond of sorts, and it can hook people, and the hook can enter your finger and then through your wrist, your arm, and go up to your brain. You die, or go to your heart and rip your heart out. It's actually really powerful. And the Grateful Dead is very horrifying. It can age people. But the catch is that it can age people with a high body temperature. Turtles are cold body temperature animals, right? So they shouldn't age, right? Anyways, Prosciutto couldn't find Bruno's team, so he decided to age everyone in the train. And we start seeing people like Narancia and Giorno and Fugo turning old and becoming forgetful and weak. And that's very, very, very horrifying. The writers also cut out a few cool moments from the manga for some reason, but we also got a new ED with the same song, and that's pretty cool, I guess, even though it's still kind of similar with the previous ED and it's not that crazy, but it's cool, I guess. And of course, we have episodes 15 and 16, which are both episodes where Pesci's Beach Boy and Prosciutto's Grateful Dead attack the team. And oh my gosh, this fight is really, really intense and suspenseful. It's not as good as the Vanilla Ice fight or the Sheer Heart Attack fight, of course, but it's still easily one of the most memorable fights of the entire part. Just when you think the Grateful Dead's ability is horrifying, Beach Boy is actually the one that's even deadlier. On the first round, we have Mista versus Pesci, and it's a fight that turned out really shocking. And then we have Bruno Bucciarati fighting Prosciutto, and then later on Pesci. And the fights are really, really good, especially towards the end when Bruno had to chop himself up into many pieces in order to save himself. And then almost got his heart ripped out by a fishing hook by accident. That was a close call. Also, arrivederci. And then we have episode 17, Babyface. And Melone's Babyface is an absolutely weird stand. His stand is a computer with a face. And after putting a blood sample into the computer, the stand can impregnate a woman and give birth to a baby. And then the baby grows up really fast and it can dice everything and reshape it into something else. Even though the fight was really brief and not as interesting as I hoped it to be, we see another cool ability for gold experience, I guess. Episode 18 to 19 cover the White Album arc, where Ghiaccio attacks Mista and Giorno while they were trying to reach Venezia, and his stand, White Album. Happiness is a warm gun. And that's actually kind of ironic, because it ain't a Mista fight without Mista getting shot by his own gun. The fight was not as intense as the Grateful Dead and Beach Boy fight, but it's still a really entertaining fight. Everything began to freeze and turn to ice, and because super cold ice can stick, it tears off skin and even fingers. The ice can block one's passageway as well. Super cold ice droplets can use as deflections to the bullets. Ghiaccio can also freeze the air into solid and then back to gas, and you can also wear a suit with ice skates to travel on ice. It's a really, really crazy fight, and the ending where Mista takes the hit is just crazy. And we also got the very notorious Giorno gives Mista the suck scene. Also, Ghiaccio's voice actor is freaking awesome. His screams are just amazing. Now, I don't watch My Hero Academia, but I know that he plays the side character of Bakuga, I think he's called, and he's really good in that role, and I think he's really good in this role as well. Also, fun fact: the White Album chapters are actually in the same Shonen Jump magazine with One Piece Chapter 1. It's really crazy to know how old JoJo actually is. Like, back in the days, the big three shonen anime is One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. But JoJo actually predates all that. JoJo is really old. And it's actually even crazier to think that in 1991, Araki came up with the Echoes versus Lock fight. He came up with the fight in 1991. He's so ahead of his time. Anyways, we finally arrive at episode 20, the halfway point with the final order from the boss. And while there isn't a huge fight in this episode, it's really interesting and has a horrifying ending. Bruno was ordered to accompany Trish to the bell tower on an island in Venezia. And suddenly, Trish disappears. And I had to think if it's the work of the remaining member of La Squadra, Risotto, or is it the boss's doing. And apparently, it's the boss's doing. And Bruno realized how evil the boss actually is and tried to fight back, but the boss and his stand, King Crimson, are too powerful. Bruno couldn't even begin to damage him. And the ending was just wow. So overall, the first half of JoJo Part 5, the anime, is actually pretty good. I still prefer Part 4 over Part 5. I still think Part 4 has that eccentricity and the color that I really love, even though Part 5 also has it. But what really makes Part 4 better than Part 5 is the cohesion. Because in Part 4, it's more of a slice of life genre, so a lot of characters actually reoccur, and we are always in the same Morio town, so watching Part 4 is almost like we're living in the town alongside with those characters, and it feels really realistic, and a lot of the issues and troubles are actually really relatable as well. But in Part 5, it's very ambitious, very over the top, and it's harder to relate to, even though it's still very, very entertaining. But that being said, I still really enjoy part 5. The glorification of violence is really stylish, and I also think part 5 is more flamboyant and eccentric as JoJo had ever been, and I really like that aspect. So my favorite episode so far is the second half of the Beach Boy and Grateful Dead fight, The Grateful Dead. And my least favorite episode is I really don't know. I really don't know. Probably Find Polpo's Treasure. Yeah, probably that. Or the first episode. The first episode is kind of slow, but of course it would be. I am giving so far, not the whole thing, but so far I would give JoJo Part 5 a decent 8 out of 10. So, have you watched JoJo Part 5? From 1 to 10, how much you rate it? Like, if you like it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. I will continue with JoJo Part 5, of course, but also I will be reviewing Dark Season 2, and then afterwards I will watch ReZero Seasons 1 and 2, and then I will watch The Boys Season 2. So, there you go.